Over the past months, I've spent around $720,000 on Performance Max campaigns and counting for my clients. And I've ran Performance Max campaigns now in any sort of vertical imaginable, right? From fashion to supplements, electronics, gaming, health-related products, pet products, you name it. And also for stores of all shapes and sizes, from fairly small dropshipping stores to $30 million plus per year e-commerce brands. And in this video, I want to do like a little recap and give you some overview, some strategic overview on what to keep in mind when you want to run Performance Max campaigns, what to do, what to avoid, so that you have like a very brief guide on which things you really need to keep in mind. So with that being said, let's jump right into my insights for Performance Max. One little disclaimer here, of course, Performance Max campaigns may change quite a lot in the near future. So Google told us a lot of things already that they want to enable us to do with Performance Max. So this video might be out of date at some point in time, relatively soon, but that's the sort of level it is right now, mid-September 2022. All right, so first things foremost, I currently have around 138 active Performance Max campaigns. Actually, at the moment of that recording, exactly 138 Performance Max campaigns across my clients. Some of them are very small, right? Some of them, the biggest one, spent well over $200,000 already in a single campaign. And some of them are like just very, very tiny. Plus, I also have clients with different currencies, so it's not that easy to always exactly translate it into US dollars in the end. But that's the current situation in all kind of markets and niches, as I said. First things first, Performance Max is absolutely worth testing, right? So if you're still debating, should I do it or is it like unnecessary? No, Performance Max is actually very useful. And even though we don't have that much control over it and it's very much automated and many people hate that, it's a very useful campaign type for you as an e-commerce business owner or as an e-com consultant or whatever. Also, the main problem with Performance Max is that you cannot rely on it alone. So you should test it, but you should be ready for the fact that if you just run a single big Performance Max campaign, you are pretty much at the mercy of Google, right? And this shouldn't be surprising. I mean, if you have one big Performance Max campaign that is fully automated, where you have very little insights, you don't see what's going on, you don't have a real search term report the way you have in search and shopping, it should be pretty obvious that you shouldn't rely on it only. Yes, I have several accounts now where the Performance Max campaign is the single biggest campaign of all, but I have no account where I have nothing else, right? I have no account where I only run PMax or where it takes like 90% of the spend. I have cases where it's actually like more than 30% on a single Performance Max campaign, actually more than half as well, but that's like the max. I don't have more than that, and I highly recommend that you still keep other campaigns around where you have more influence on. So here are some key requirements for profitable Performance Max campaigns, right? First of all, you need good assets like images and videos for maximum performance. If you have a very basic store, very basic images and everything that are absolutely not standing out in any way, you are probably better off to focus on like shopping and search for now, because even though Performance Max isn't only about, visuals and creatives and stuff like that, it massively influences Performance Max performance in the end. So if you just simply have like 3 white background images of your products and you want to build a Performance Max campaign that way, probably not the best way to do it, and you should probably rather stick to other campaign types, at least for now. Then you should have a minimum daily budget of like $50 or more. I say that because if you think about Performance Max and how it works, it combines a ton of images, it combines videos if you have them, it combines headlines, description, it tests multiple audiences. So there's so much testing going on inside of a Performance Max campaign that if you are not like giving it some decent budget, it will take forever to see any solid performance. You may see an initial spike of performance and it performs well, but that's sometimes because you get like brand searches, it's because you do retargeting automatically as well most of the time. So if you get like a few days of good performance with Performance Max early on without much testing and optimization, don't mistake that for a campaign that will do very well for a very long time, because it can sometimes fool you by giving you these very, very low-hanging fruits and then it will die out very, very soon. So give it a decent budget. $50 should be the bare minimum, in my opinion, for Performance Max. Give it 14 to 30 days of optimization, right? Like, don't judge the performance immediately. There are so many variables in there that you need to give it some time at least, where you don't interfere with it all the time. Also, accept that you have little control and insights, at least so far. You get something close to a search term report, but not really, right? You get some insights into search terms, but not really as well as in search and shopping. You don't know exactly which ads show how often, and so on and so forth. It's all pretty vague still, but you have to accept it for now. So if you are going for data, if you want maximum insights at the moment, or you're in a very early stage with your business, you're probably better off with other campaign types where you get all this information from. There is something very important here, because you can emulate smart shopping ads by not adding assets to your Performance Max campaign. Okay, so if you run a Performance Max campaign, you start one and you don't add actual assets, images, etc., you are essentially emulating a smart shopping campaign. You're just using your products, and it's not really recommended, because the big benefit of PMax is that you can have all these things and do retargeting and all that stuff at the same time, different placements, you name it. But you can do it. So if you have a store that is only good for shopping, right? You have very little creatives or no good creatives, or it just doesn't make sense for you with your niche, with your products. You may want to test emulating a smart shopping campaign by literally running a PMax campaign with products only. I've done it several times. It can perform well because we don't have smart shopping anymore. This is like an alternative. It's like tricking the system to some degree, but you have to check for yourself. If you can always use a normal Performance Max campaign, but it can be an option if you don't have the assets and everything. So what to feed Performance Max with, right? Like, what do you put into a Performance Max campaign ideally? Well, first of all, multiple audiences, and you should mix smaller and larger ones. So you have in-market audiences, affinity audiences, you have your own data, you have, retargeting and everything, right? Custom audiences. Ideally, you give it some of all of these. And ideally, you mix some like larger audiences to like very specific audiences. As an example, I have a very large gaming client selling gaming computers, like monitors, graphics cards, etc. And we use very specific audiences, like, I don't know, role-playing fans and shooter fans, right? And at the same time, we use a very large audience called like gamers, PC gaming and things like that, plus our own data and all that stuff. The reason is that we want to find out what's the best audience for us, and that we can test these audiences, we get insights for these audiences, and we can then proceed with the ones that perform best. So ideally, mix multiple ones and then check their performance. Also use different image assets and mix like product shots with ambient shots, lifestyle images, etc. And the assets should be as different as possible. So don't just throw in like 10 white background images or 10 images with the same model from different angles, right? You want to be as different as possible. You want to mix like bright light with a little bit darker, for example. You want to mix like an actual person with just the product. You want to mix like a nature shot with or like an environment shot with something else. The more different your assets are, the better, and the more likely you will see very good performance versus just giving Google like very, very similar things, right? Also add a video so that Google doesn't create one for you. I can imagine that some of you may not have great video assets, okay? But the problem is if you use Performance Max without a video at all, they will do a pretty weird slideshow for you. And you cannot avoid that, at least not for now, right? You cannot just say, hey, I don't want video at all. They will produce videos or one video for you automatically, and it looks really strange. So if you have some video, it doesn't have to be great. It just has to be like somewhat decent, right? Then use it, because almost everything is better than that weird slideshow that you get. So that's something really you need to think about. Also use all the relevant ad extensions. Okay, site links, callouts, you get that on the, I think, last screen before you publish the campaign. You get like this overview, hey, you want to use all the extensions. You should do it because just think about it as like getting more relevance, getting better options to where to send people to, and so on and so forth. That just really helps in boosting things like CTR, but also conversion rates. And then also split products into asset groups if you can logically divide them. Okay, so what this means is if you sell, let's say, accessories, right? For example, I also have a client selling accessories, especially jewelry, and we have different types of jewelry. And for these different types, we want to use different asset groups because they're so distinct. If they are almost exactly the same, right? If they are just different colors, or if there's like some nuances, or you have some subcategories, you don't need like asset groups for them if they're very similar. But if you sell totally different things, right? Like rings and then some very specific unique types of bracelets or something, or with fashion you sell like shoes and shirts, ideally you use asset groups for these different product categories. I normally prefer using asset groups than individual Performance Max campaigns, but think about whether you can logically split and divide your catalog into multiple asset groups. If they're very close, if the only difference is like some pricing and some designs and everything and aesthetics, keep them. But if they are like totally different types of products and everything, you may actually want to consider to use individual asset groups for them, because you can use individual assets, you can choose different products, audiences, and so on and so forth. All right, so there are some no-goes with Performance Max, right? I put 5 here, of course there are more, but here are some no-goes that you really want to keep in mind when running Performance Max. Let me make myself a little bigger here again. All right. First thing, don't interfere with bidding strategy, assets, etc. every day. It's okay to optimize it. It's okay to choose different target ROAS if it's not working, but don't do it too often, because if you do it too often, you're just hurting the optimization, just as with other campaign types as well, right? PMax is no exception here, but it's even more important because it has so many variables and it takes so long to optimize. Don't expect PMax to solve all your problems, right? I have some cases where PMax works, whereas the other campaign types don't work that well. But it's not like this thing that will fix all your problems and will suddenly make your campaign your account 10x in terms of revenue, etc. Have realistic expectations here. Don't give up all your other campaign types in favor of Performance Max. That one is very important. As I said in the very beginning, you should keep your search, shopping campaigns, and whatever still present. They may still perform very well, and you have full control over them, whereas with Performance Max, that's not the case. Also, don't let it run without regular optimization of assets, audiences, and products. So the first point was don't do it too often. What's important, though, is to do it at all. Right? Like you have to do it every now and then. Like every week or every other week, you can check, okay, how do my assets perform? You may want to iterate on your audiences and try different ones. You want to throw out products that are not performing at all, similar as with shopping. Do these things, just don't do them too often. Once every 2 weeks or so, sometimes every week, depending on your spend and everything, sometimes even less than 2 weeks, but that's very roughly what you may want to look at, okay? Also, don't run too many Performance Max campaigns at once. I know I showed you in the beginning, like I have 138 campaigns right now, and I don't have 138 clients. So we have definitely way more than one PMax campaign per client on average. But there are many things like different countries, right? I have one client where we have like 25 different Performance Max or 20 different Performance Max campaigns because of 20 different countries already. Then another client we have like 5 because of countries again, but also in some cases because of very unique setups, or because we have like absolutely different categories that we don't even want to have like asset groups, but we want to distinguish by campaign. Normally though, a normal small e-com store that doesn't target many countries and everything, you are fine with like 1 to 2 Performance Max campaigns, right? Normally 1 with several asset groups, maybe sometimes 2, but that's really it. I've seen cases people spending $20 per PMax campaign and they have like 6 Performance Max campaigns. That doesn't make any sense. So keep it at a low amount. This will just improve your optimization, performance, and so on. So if you still struggle with Performance Max campaigns, right? If you want to learn more on how to use Performance Max properly, what are the actual steps to get a campaign optimized, like how to decide which products to put in there, how do you go about the optimization routine, and so on and so forth, I just finished my new training, the Ecom PPC Academy, in its newest, fully up-to-date version, brand new. And one of the topics in there is Performance Max as well. So I talk about, like, as I said, how to set it up, how to optimize, what's the routine here, how to scale it, etc., etc. Plus, of course, about all the other things like shopping, search. You see a little preview here from the site on screen. Or if you say, hey, I don't want to do it myself, I don't know how to do it, or I don't want to do it, right? Then I also run, of course, campaigns and ads for clients. And this obviously includes Performance Max as well. So if you have an existing business where you're already making sales, where you have a proof of concept, and you just want to take things to the next level, want to scale with Performance Max campaigns, squeeze more ROAS out of it, and just take it to new heights, then check out the second link in the description if you want to work together. I help you with the ads and make sure that your store is also in the right position to run profitable ads in the first place. So we can talk, we can discuss if it makes sense for you, and maybe I'll help you scale your campaigns to the next level very soon. So this was my quick video on Performance Max on a high level, like what to do, what to keep in mind, what's important. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you learned something new about Performance Max here today. Let me know in the comments if you are already using PMax and how it has been going for you. Have you tried them yet? Are you just about to do it? Are you still on the edge? Let me know. It would be very interesting to see your situation in regards to Performance Max. So with this being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and like if you want to see more Google Ads e-commerce content. And with this being said, thank you very much. And I look forward to see you in the next video again. Bye-bye.